Hello, creatives. Welcome back to Girl Gang Craft the podcast. Today we have Jennie from Jennie Lemons on the podcast. Hi, Jennie. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, Jennie and I go way back. Jennie was at the first GGC ever, and we met, probably at like Renegades or something.
Was I
Um,
at the first one? I can't
I think you're
believe
at
it.
yeah, the
I
first or maybe the second one. But what
yeah,
yeah, I feel like the first one. I feel like you're there at both the
yeah.
Lucky Duck ones. And yeah, and we've been connected and um yeah, Jennie has an amazing I want to say like a food-based apparel and accessories business. Is that a proper terminology?
Yeah, food themed,
Food
maybe.
themed. Yeah, maybe
Yes.
it's not made out of food. It's
No.
visual representations of food. And it's been fun to grow our business alongside each other and watch what all her, turns and pivots and changes. And I'm excited to have you here to talk about it.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here, and it's so nice to see you.
It's so nice to see you. So yeah, Jennie, tell us what it is. Tell us about your food themed business.
Okay, so Jenny Lemons is in, well, it's our ninth year of business, which is kind of crazy. Next year is our 10 year, and it's going to be really fun. But it started as an extension of my art practice. So I'm originally from Minnesota, and I moved to California to go to graduate school at the San Francisco Art Institute. And I got an MFA in painting there. And while I was at SFAI, I did my thesis project about traditional craft, like sort of intersecting with high art. And part of that traditional craft is like this, like tradition of food and women and preparing meals for our families and like the traditional dishes that each family has. And what that looked like when I was in school was like ceramic sculpture of food. I did like paintings of like meals and people made out of food, and it was like really like arty, conceptual, and like not super accessible to people. After I graduated, I spent a couple years in the fine art world, working at art galleries. I had an artist residency in San Francisco at this like wonderful nonprofit called Root Division. And while I was there, I like showed my work like all the time. I was in tons of shows, at different galleries and museums. And like while that felt successful to me, I never sold anything. I was like so broke. I like the like poster child of starving artist, like um and I it wasn't until a show that I did in 2014, which I feel like this is like the birth of Jennie Lemons, where I created a series of artwork. It was called Cheeses of France, the Cheeses of France. Okay, so I made I made clothing and jewelry. I made a zine, and some like small watercolor drawings of various cheeses from France. And this show sold out. Like all of a sudden, I hung up like shirts and like hand drawn clothing on the walls like paintings, and people bought them. And I thought, oh, maybe people don't want me to make paintings. Maybe people want me to make things for them to buy. So quickly after that, I started like doing Renegade Craft Fair, and Girl Gang Craft Fair and West Coast Craft, and so many craft fairs. I was out there like every weekend at various, shows, farmers markets, whatever, showing my artwork. And at that time, I was mostly making handmade clothing. And yeah, is it? I'm just telling you the story of my business, Phoebe.
Tell
Is
me the
that?
story. I feel like some of the stuff I didn't hear so personally. So this is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So I was making handmade clothing, and it was getting like really intense. Like it was going well, and I was working as a preschool teacher and teaching art classes in the evening to sort of like support the start of my new business. And I did that from 2014 to 2017. And in 2017, I quit my full time job to go into Jennie Lemons full time. So 2017 was like an incredible year. I made so much clothes. It was crazy, just like at my sewing machine all the time. Until I developed a repetitive stress injury, which helped me ask for help. So I started working with a factory at that time to help manufacture my clothing. And it was going like really, really well. And that was until the summer of 2017. I had like gotten like 3 wholesale accounts, like I was supporting myself with my business. And then I got the eviction notice on my studio, um, which is a very common story in San Francisco of artists getting displaced for, development in the city. So that's what led me to look for new space, and that's how I founded my shop. In November 2017, so 2017 was huge. Quit my day job and started a shop. I opened up my first retail location in SF, in the Mission District, and it was a beautiful little community space that I ran for 6 years. It served as a place to like sell my own products, but I also curated the work of other artists. We had art shows and art classes, and it was like just
Wait,
a
and
beautiful
that was
community.
2017?
Hmm.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was great, and we did really well from 2017 till 2020, of course. um, and yeah, 2020 was like this year where I just pivoted like crazy. I started teaching online art classes like all the time. And 2020 was actually like really, really good for us, because everyone went online and they were like super into supporting small business, like really, really into it. So, I was hopeful, as the pandemic ended, that it would continue that way, but it didn't, unfortunately. So I like, limped along for 3 more years, and then ended up closing my shop in November last year, 2023. So now I work from home, and I design hair accessories primarily, and some other accessories, all based on food. And yeah, that's it.
I love
There's a
it.
long tail.
No, it's great, and the reason why I was so like, 2017 just seems so early because that was our first event too, and so
Mhm.
you must have had the store, like, during those first events. You had just, like,
Probably.
opened them, yeah.
Well, I got the lease in November 2017, November
Okay,
1st.
okay.
And I took, December, I was like kind of open. I had my grand opening party in March, but we had been open for like 5 months. So I was like a little open.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the store a little bit because I do think
Mhm.
that's important, for folks who are A, interested in opening a spot, and B, also interested in why you didn't want to have the spot anymore. But I think one of the ways that you made it work so well is you had this community service based component, right? You had folks
Mhm.
come into the store for workshops and gatherings. And then you also did corporate classes, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so that was one. I felt like having the store was like avenue for me to express all of my interests, and all of my different like facets of business that I wanted to do. So, I sold my own products direct to consumer there. I also curated products from other makers. At one point, we had like 250 makers in the shop. And then yeah, doing the art classes. So the makers in the shop, we also offered them a place to teach art classes. We had a really fun like artist of the month uh, series of workshops, which were free or low cost workshops for the community to come in and meet the artist and make something and have a drink and like just hang out with their neighbors. It was super fun. And yeah, the corporate events really like that was a lot of work, but that really helped. We had a lot of great relationships with all of the tech companies in San Francisco that would either come into our space for like a watercolor team building workshop, or we would go to them, or it would be virtual. So yeah.
And how did you get in touch with some of these tech companies to teach for them? Because I just think this is such a good avenue for so many craft-based folks to I mean, corporations have money,
Mhm.
period. So, like, I encourage folks listening, if you want to sort of, pop into the teaching space, like, corporations are great clients and they have money literally set aside for these sort of team building activities. So how did you sort of like have that pitching method or make those connections?
At first was really organic. People who would come into my shop and take a class or like us, and they're like, "Hey, I work for Apple, and like we have a team. My team always does these team building activities. Would you do this?" So I was like, "Yes," and I would like make sure to get their information and like email them and follow up. And like my list just grew, kind of doing that to start. They would, after the team build, I would always email them and ask them to write a review on Yelp or on, Google Business. So that helped our SEO when someone's searching team build San Francisco. Boom, here I come up with all these reviews. I also used, I don't know if they exist anymore, but there's like platforms that you can sign up for that will connect you directly with teams, like stuff like, I use a company called Verlocal to help me book classes, like Eventbrite you could use too. Um, that was really helpful. And, as it became more of like a thing, I was trying to think like the people running the, experience managers or whoever are running these things. Like, what do they get? They get, quarterly, they're going to have a team build for their teams. So you better believe every quarter I was emailing them with my updated offerings of classes, especially changing them just ever so slightly. I have a watercolor class. Now I have a Valentine's Day watercolor class, so that to get them, they're really busy and they don't want to spend all their time searching on the internet for different places to go. So if you are proactively reaching out to your warm leads, people who are interested in you, they're probably going to sign up with you versus somebody else. So that worked really well. I just made like an email list in Klaviyo of my team build clients and emailed them quarterly.
Yeah, that's super smart. Just staying
Yeah.
top of mind with those
Mhm.
people and yeah, what they need from you and, landing in their inbox. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's talk about your apparel a little bit too, because I know firsthand that that sort of went through a transformation. So you were making clothing yourself, then you got a factory, and then I remember the moment when you were like, I'm not gonna make clothing anymore, and I'm just gonna get blanks again. And then you were
Mhm.
done with clothing. So can you tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that, sort of like those stages?
I love clothes. I love indie designers. I'm wearing Nettle Studios, one of my favorite brands. Like I love clothing and I love to be in that sphere. But I really also love accessibility. And I am unable to have a size inclusive brand. Because I mean I really tried. I went up to 4X, but it just isn't enough. Like I can't. The minimums are too high to work with these factories, for a small designer that's trying stuff out. It just became financially and emotionally too taxing on me to continue having clothing. um, the brands that can do it, I really applaud them, and do it well. They brands like New Works or like Nettle Studios. They've got it down. It's awesome, but I couldn't. And speaking of inclusivity, like I really wanted to have a product. I was always jealous of accessories brands and jewelry brands. It's like, ugh, look at you. You don't have to have all these weird exercises that no one is going to buy. Like you just get to have your one thing and that's it. And I was always jealous of that. And I was like, "Oh, why don't I just do that?" So I've, shifted away from clothing completely. I will not be launching another collection. And I'm leaning heavily into accessories, mainly hair accessories, 99% hair accessories. But then I also just like love to play around with other things too. So, yeah, like jewelry and home goods and stickers and stuff like that.
Um, Matt has 2 of your hats. I mean, I think you already know
Hmm.
this. He has my husband, he has the banana hat, and I think he got it for his sister also. And what was the new one that we just got? We got the hot dog hat, and
Yes.
he loves it. It's such a great color, the hot dog hat too. It's just like it's just so all American, like, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, then that's why I love accessories, and I love that I've kind of stumbled into this process where like I'll design, I start out all of my just watercolor drawings. I've been working on some stuff. I'll show you for
Yes.
the audio people. I'm holding up a grid of
Ah,
tiny paintings that
so
I
fun.
paint about like 25, 30 little versions of paintings um, on paper, and that's like how I start my designs. And then I kind of like land on which ones I like, draw them digitally, and then I have like whatever, a hot dog design, and I could make that hot dog into a hair claw, a hat, a sticker, you know, other secret things that are coming out of the future. So it's really fun. It's just so fun to, let my designs kind of become other things and be inclusive.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
wanna talk more about the accessories and sorta like your manufacturing process, and
Mhm.
also we're gonna dive into wholesale because you have such an amazing wholesale practice. But going back to, like, the moment when you knew the store, like, wasn't working, what did that look like? How did you feel, like, supported in that, transition? And how is it going now?
Okay, so I had known the store wasn't working for a while because we were not profitable. The operating expenses of my shop were very high, about $14,000 a month to keep the doors, just to have lights on. It would cost $14,000.
And that's
Um,
not including staff.
that includes staff. That's
That includes
staff,
staff. Okay,
rent, everything. Fourteen thousand
okay.
dollars just to just to be there. So that means in order to, if I'm selling mostly other people's products in my shop, it's a 50% profit margin. Like most makers know this. It's like that's the keystone profit margin. So I need to sell just to keep the lights on. I need to sell 32,000, and don't make fun of my math. $28,000 worth of stuff. $28,000 worth of stuff. That's to make $0. That makes sense, right? So really, if I'm gonna, so I, and most months we were making about $20,000 in the store. So I was at negative money every single month. It just wasn't making any sense. And even, and I was limping along for a while, because all of my other many sales channels, which I'm happy to talk about, were uplifting the store, which is the money suck, but it was also like, it was a place where we stored all of our products and we did all of our shipping. Like it's just here. It maybe loses a little money, but like, it's okay because we need an office. But then in May last year, we moved to a fulfillment center. Our wholesale business was getting too big for us to accommodate in the back room of our tiny little shop. It was just too stressful. So we moved to a fulfillment center, and all of a sudden, the shop its only function was to be a shop, and it wasn't cutting it. Shortly after we moved to the fulfillment center, my longest employee who worked at the shop put in her notice. And I was like, I don't want to find another person. I don't want to hire another person. I don't want to do this. And that's kind of when I knew. I was like, this part of my life is ending, um, and it's time to move on. And I tried I really, it's not that I didn't try, I got a grant from the city of San Francisco to remodel my shop. I had hired sign painters to come out. I painted the inside of the shop. We had some really fun, like collaborative parties. And I know you interviewed Shitty Craft Club. Like she came for a book signing. We did all this stuff, but it just wasn't cutting it month after month. And that's when I decided that it was time to go.
This fulfillment center. So that
Yeah.
means that you're not packaging, that you're not shipping off products, you're paying someone else to do it, and that's,
Hmm.
like, their job.
Yep. So essentially what it is. We're in a fulfillment center in Brisbane, California, so right next to San Francisco. It's only 10-minute drive from our house. And yeah, they store all of our products for us and they ship all of our orders. Um,
Both wholesale
a-
and online.
yeah, absolute game changer.
Amazing.
Absolute, because we don't have to have a physical location to store our products anymore. That they store it for us. They package it, they ship it. It's great. It's very
Wow.
good. Yeah.
And so do you ever go there, or is that just like fully on its own?
So I don't go there very often, and I know we're going to talk about my team now, but my husband and I are the two main employees of Jennie Lemons. I work on all marketing and design, and then like the CEO of the business, and he is the operations. He's the COO, if we're going to use a C-suite terms. So he does all operations. So he's like our accounts manager for wholesale. He does all the customer service, which is something I want to outsource. And he is the liaison with the fulfillment center. So every order that is placed at jennielemons.com, my sweet husband sees, and he's making sure that it's flowing through to the fulfillment center and getting where it needs to go. Yeah.
And so when did he start working for Jennie Lemons?
He started when our daughter was 1.
Okay.
So like 2 years ago, because she's 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Can we ask what he was doing before and like how that
Yeah.
transition happened?
So he was an art handler. He worked basically he worked in rich people's homes hanging their paintings. He also worked in art galleries, like installing art shows. And it was a really fun job, and he worked with his friends, but it kind of came to a point where I like needed more help with my business, and I was kind of feeling like I was drowning. And we had a 1-year-old daughter, and he wanted to be with her more, because often at his job he'd have to work until like 7 p.m. and she's in bed when he gets home, I was like, just work with me, come on. I had to hire someone anyways, so he left. And at first he was the shipping boy in the back of the shop for about a year, and then we moved to the fulfillment center.
Cool. That's really
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really it's a family business.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about I kind of want to talk about manufacturing and then we can
Mhm.
talk about like how you're getting your items in front of the people of the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I would love to hear a little bit about your process. You talked about and you showed us your little watercolors, and that'll be on my YouTube video for you all listening. If you allow that, maybe
Yeah,
we check
sure.
back
Yeah.
in if those
Yeah,
okay.
that's great.
Are these secret mushrooms?
That's right.
Um, so yeah, I would love to hear a little bit about start to finish. I think, we've been talking about manufacturing a little bit on the podcast with various guests. I'm in the middle of some manufacturing issues right now, so I have some personal questions.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of folks listening, the step from making things yourself to manufacturing or getting help on part of the product, um, is a big leap for people to make. So I don't know if you have any sort of things that you want to share about your process or like any tips to make that feel a little bit easier for folks.
Yeah, it is extremely emotional. I remember like weeping when I was like, so I was diagnosed with cubital tunnel syndrome, which is it's like carpal tunnel, but it comes from my elbow, and it was from sewing, and like because I was hand painting and hand block printing all of my clothing and then hand sewing it, and so just doing that repetitive stress, my hand like went completely numb, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like I own the means of my production. Like how am I supposed to make things if I can't make things? How am I supposed to make money? So I started really slowly, and that is something you can do too. Like I would still hand paint and hand block print all of my fabrics, and then at the time in San Francisco, there was actually a tiny factory across the street from my studio. I couldn't even believe it, that I would like carry my blank, well, my like cut pieces of my panels, they're called over, and then they would sew them for me, and like they'd sew like 15 shirts or something like that. And I was like, this is incredible. Like you can start slow. There are, probably where you live, depending on what you're doing, there are people that can help you with small parts of it. But as you're starting to scale up, there, what I look for whenever I want to try a new product, like right now, I really want to make sheer socks. I probably shouldn't talk about my secret products, but like, I really
I'll
want. I
make
mean,
you one.
how cute would Jennie Lemon's sheer socks be? They would be so cute. So I'm working, so I'm working. I'm interviewing several manufacturers, and you can find them from lots of different sources. You could just Google them. You could, search if you want to be USA made sock manufacturer. You could ask people sometimes, like some makers are really open with their, sources, and you can kind of tell by following them on Instagram and seeing, how they are. um, and, so I interview and I look for factories that, have fair practices that I believe in and I support, certifications or, whatever, do your due diligence. Look for factories that have been around for a few years. You don't want anyone that's just suddenly starting today. Um, and look for factories that will make a sample for you. It is worth it. Please make samples, and smaller minimums. Like around 100 might feel like a lot, but it's really not. That's really low. Like a lot of factories are like minimum 10,000, and that's just like so inaccessible. That's even inaccessible to me. So yeah, that's what I look for. Fair practices and small minimums, and has been in business for a while with some reviews.
Okay, the sample thing. So I'm in some sample processes for some
Yeah.
couple things. Do you have to pay every time they make a change to a sample?
It depends on the factory. Usually you don't. Usually you
Okay.
don't.
Because
Yeah.
this is new to me also, and I feel like they I mean, yeah, it was sort of a redesign a little bit, but it's because I don't know. I feel like I've gotten charged twice for resamples. I don't know.
I know. I mean, usually it depends on the factory. Often the sample. I'm working on redesigning my hot dog beaded pouch. Okay, I'm not happy with my factory, so I'm shopping new factories, and it's like it's going to be expensive, but I know that this is like going to be like you look at your data, like what products are working, and like decide if the investment is going to be worth it. But yeah, samples can be a pain. Yeah, and also like it's in the design. It's also on the designer. Like try to give them as much information as possible at the first time you submit your design. Share your sizes, share your Pantone colors if you can, like share pictures of other things you want it to look like really try to like a lot of the factories I work with are in Asia, so I'm working with people whose are English is their second language, or they're not, they don't even know English that well. So I really am trying to like be as thorough as possible. Um, don't allow any reading between the lines.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And then are you getting samples sent to you or are you trusting videos?
So I will trust videos, but I used to, but now I get everything sent to me because in as a real designer, I've been doing this, flying by the seat of my pants for 10 years. I'm sure you can totally relate to you, where you're just like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, like I'll just try this. I'm like figuring it out as I go along. But I'm like, oh, wow, there's reasons why like you get samples sent to you. Like I get my samples sent to me so that I can make content with them. So that by the time
Mm.
that they're here and ready to launch, I'm ready to go. My listings are ready. I've sent them to the content creators that I work with to do user generated content. I have weighed them. I have measured them. I've written my descriptions. I'm good to go. So the second the package gets here, I might do one little unboxing video and then boom, we're ready. We're off to the races. Plus, I can also, I mean, I know again, I'm like, we're going to talk about my team, but like I'm working with a PR agency, and I just hired a sales rep. So they need to know everything the next 6 months. So having those samples, at least one set for you to have pictures and things, is so, so valuable.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Mhm.
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Great.
like, I was always like, well, it's fine. The video's fine. Like, it's going to take too long to get these samples to do this stuff, but it doesn't. And like, yeah, it may add a week, but what can you do in that week? To be able to be ready to go the second when this huge investment arrives and not have to wait any longer is like so valuable. And to get all this buzz, you can, I really like Elizabeth from the Peach Fuzz is a friend of mine, and I think that what she does is so amazing. Like she will like just talk about her product for like a month before it's coming, like teasing it and teasing it and teasing it and teasing, and then it's here and everyone's ready and they know about it because they already know it's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's smart. I love that.
Yeah.
I that's something I didn't even think about. I'm like looking at samples to have it, but duh, duh.
Yeah.
Great. Love it.
Yeah.
Um, okay. How are you getting your accessories in front of, let's do people first and then we can move to wholesale.
So, as my business has simplified, meaning like not having the store, not doing workshops or team builds anymore, like really focusing. Well, I want to just say, like, when I closed my shop, I made at the also the reason I closed my shop is because I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I like give her so much, and I was having a hard time like also giving myself to the shop and to just splitting myself in that way. And I in that process I didn't have any room for my art anymore. So when I closed my shop, I made a conscious decision to focus on my art and my designs only. And so that has like allowed me to really like hone in on exactly what my vision is and share it with other people. So in getting my stuff in front of other people, um, I'm excited to share my drawings and I'm excited to share my product because they're mine and I got to make them. And that's like so fun. um, and okay, so getting to your question, but so we use, I design the products and I am head of marketing for my business. So we use social media, of course. I also have a PR agency and I have recently I started an affiliate program, which has been really cool. With social media, I work with a team of content creators that help me create content because I'm 37 years old and I do not like to make TikToks. I do make them, but I do
You
not
do
enjoy
them.
it. I do them, but
Are
I
they
don't, it's
local?
not what I like. Yeah, I work with
Okay.
they're based in the East Bay. Um, and so what they do is they will create really beautiful, like, well, I shouldn't say beautiful is like not the right word, just fun. Like they work mainly with CPGs or consumer packaged goods, food companies like tinned fish or sodas or whatever. So it's been a really great match to work with them because since my business is like almost a food based business, they like style my stuff like food and take really cool photos. They also make reels with their content creators. And then what I do is I get all of that, and then I also will make reels and take pictures and do like behind the scenes things. And then so I schedule out our Instagram and I write all the captions for it. And then I have a virtual assistant who will take everything I've written for Instagram and then like remix it and we post it on every other social media channel. So like Pinterest, even LinkedIn. Every week we do a LinkedIn post, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. Is there anything else? Oh, Facebook, but that just automatically happens. Um, yeah, so that's our social media strategy. I also have a newsletter that I write weekly, and that is based on like whatever my weekly theme is. I kind of do like content pillars and themes. So whatever the theme is for the week, I'll send out a weekly newsletter. And then I have a
Can you
PR
give us
agency.
can you give
Oh
us an
yeah,
example of your weekly themes? I think that's helpful for
sure.
people.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So basically, I spend I have on Mondays, I have marketing Mondays. So I spend a few hours on Mondays thinking about the week. and planning out what I'm going to talk about on social media. Sometimes it will be a launch, new products coming. Sometimes it will be a sale. That's easy. I try to have a sale, I not super often sales, but things that make sense. We're in the middle of a sale right now because it was National Picnic Day. So I'm like, oh, I'll have a sale. So that it could be a sale, it could be a launch. It could be if you have nothing like that, you're like, you can look at what's on the calendar for that week. Earth Day, I did several pieces about Earth Day. You could do bestsellers. My brand, I could do a week about strawberries. Like here's a strawberry product. Here's whatever. Like every piece of content I'm creating is about strawberries. And then for my email newsletter list, I would have product spotlight, strawberry hair clips. Check out our strawberry hair clips. And basically, my newsletters are never anything really new. Like it's kind of just like an Instagram, whatever, like the week's best Instagram post that I think is going to hit the most is what will kind of go to my newsletter. Um, yeah, it's really pretty easy. I spend about 4 hours a week on it. No, I shouldn't say 4 hours, like 2 to 3 hours a week planning. And then I just do my like weekly daily posting on everything that's already been planned. And it's very nice. Yeah.
Okay, and then you mentioned PR. Did I make up that you were
Mhm.
working with Wolf PR?
I'm working with Wolf PR. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Who I met from you.
Great.
You had
Love
like
that.
a, yeah, thanks, Phoebe.
Great.
Yeah. So, Wolf PR. So they pitch my brand to publications and that's been great. Like, it's really cool. BuzzFeed like loves Jennie Lemons. They're like the hot dog hair class on BuzzFeed again. I'm like, okay, cool. And getting on the Today Show, that was with the help of the PR agency. We were on the Today Show in March. Um, yeah, it's been really cool. It just like kind of makes my brand seem legit, you know. Like that social proof is so important where you're in like figuring out like you don't have hiring a PR agency is like really expensive and it took like 9 years of being in business to hire a PR agency to be ready for that. But like any way you can get more social proof, which means reviews, user generated content, sort of stuff. Getting if you have a friend that works in a magazine, like that it really helps. Yeah.
Okay, and let's talk wholesale. You
Yeah.
have a very successful wholesale business. I feel like I see your stuff everywhere. I was just in Portsmouth this weekend and I was like, "Okay, Jennie Lemon's over here on the East Coast." Um, Tell us what that looks like.
So, my method is very, very old school, and it's worked really well, like really, really well. So what I do, and I've been doing this since like this is 2017, really, when I started my shop. Or no, yeah, when I went full time, I started this process of I would find shops that I felt were good fit for my brand, actual good fits, not just random, um, not just any shop. I would get the email of the buyer of the shop, and then I would reach out to them with a simple email saying, hi, I'm Jen. Very simple. When I'm a double agent. I had a shop and I was the buyer. So I know what these people are getting. They get emailed every single day. I'm still getting emails from people asking to be in my shop. And I'm like, the shop's closed. It's been closed for 6 months, like, so they're getting, these people are getting emails every day. Make it short, make it sweet. Hi, I'm Jennie. I own a food themed hair accessories business out of San Francisco. One line about your hair accessories. It could be we were just featured in BuzzFeed, or they're made from cellulose acetate, earth friendly material, or whatever. I have a bullet list like we're women owned, we're ethically sourced, blah blah blah. I include a link to my catalog as well as my my fair link. You always have to include your fair link now if you're using fair. And then I just include like 2 to 3 small pictures. Um, I create my emails in Gmail and I save them as templates in Gmail. Like, don't have to pay for that. But I do pay for a program called Boomerang, which kind of like shows up in Gmail, but I pay for the version of it, like the real version of it. And what it does is, so I'll send it out to my buyer. In 1 week, the email comes back to my inbox. I program that. And that is my trigger to send out my follow up email. The follow up email is even shorter than the first one. Hi, Jenny, just checking in. Did you have a chance to check out my line? Here's my fair link. Let me know if you have questions. Then I boomerang it back again in 1 week, wherein I will send out my final email. Hi, just checking in one more time, seeing if you're interested. Let me know if you have any questions. Here's that link again. Okay, bye. And then that's it. I leave them alone for 6 months, and then I start over again. But yeah, I use like a very, now I don't do it anymore. My virtual assistant does this. But so she has like a spreadsheet where she tracks it all. Like, reached out, didn't get a response, reached back out in 6 months, blah blah blah. And it will work. It works. Like I see about a 10% conversion rate. So 1 of 10 shops will buy something, because you are doing the due diligence of reaching out to these shops specifically. I think a good goal for people is to find 30 shops a month. I know that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. Great ways to find shops is to look at the stockists page of your competitors or people who make very similar products to you. Um, and then get on fair, and eventually the ball just starts rolling. Your shops, my shop, we're in over 450 shops around the world and counting. I don't even know. I mean, like, every time I look, it's another 25, another 30. We could be in 500 right now, but
Wild.
it's crazy. But what happens is, these shops, they are so invested in your brand that they're going to start posting about your brand too, and then when I was a shop, I followed all the shops I liked, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, Rare Device in San Francisco is carrying these gummies. I'm in a different part of town. I should check them out. Like, they've already vetted them for me, And so it creates more marketing opportunities for you organically. And it's like, I always call it like you're getting paid to like get free marketing. Like, you're getting paid for your product and they are marketing it for you. It's like very cool.
So,
Yeah.
are you having everyone purchase through your Fair link, or are you doing any invoices for folks?
I will do invoices if they're not on Fair. Like, we have retailers in Japan and like Thailand, Korea, that are not on Fair yet, because Fair's not available. So I mostly do Fair. Mostly everyone is on Fair. As I mentioned, we just hired sales reps to start working with us, because it's getting too big for us to handle on its own, and now we're just kind of like autopiloting it. Like, my VA reaches out to wholesale clients, potential wholesale clients, but like, we need that more personal touch to like, I think so. Our sales reps are going to start doing it, and they will invoice everybody. So yeah.
So they'll be off the Fair program and okay.
Probably it's a whole other podcast to talk about sales reps in the Fair day and age. They have their own Fair direct link that they use, so that if they're going to a retailer and showing the product, the retailer could still order through Fair, but the rep is really doing the groundwork of going in and contacting the buyers and showing samples and doing all that stuff. So they
Interesting.
can get their commission. Yeah.
Fascinating. I mean, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Um, how are you handling inventory then? Like, how is this informing your inventory? How are you like deciding how much to order? What does that look like?
So I work with a wonderful person named Amanda. She has a amazing podcast called Clothes Horse. Have you heard of it, Phoebe? It's really good.
Mm-mm.
She's amazing. So she is a business consultant for me, and she specializes in OTB, which is a buying I don't know, process. like buying. It's a formula essentially. So what she will do is she will look at my like past inventory and and like my sales and be like, whoa, you're like hot dog hair claw, you're selling like 500 units a month, like, and traditionally your February is bigger than your January, so I anticipate that you're going to need 750 hot dog hair claws for January, so you better get ordering, so she knows my lead times and she'll tell me like exactly what to order, so that I don't run into sellouts, which I still do, and that was a huge problem last year as my business started ramping up, and with like really growing exponentially. We were up over 1,000% in wholesale last year. We went from we were like we made like $50,000 in 2022 in wholesale to $500,000 in 2023 in wholesale. So it was crazy, and like we couldn't keep up with it. So I feel like we're good now, but like yeah. So there, I'm sure there are apps and things that you could use to help you like forecast your inventory. But I use it like a real old school person to do math problems for me. Um, yeah, yeah. And I think like you could decide depending. I mean, we have a lot of SKUs. We have about 300 SKUs now, so like it's a little bit hard to like watch every single thing. But if you have just a few SKUs, you can kind of see like, oh, like I'm selling 100. You could kind of do that math problem yourself. I sold 100 of them this month, but March is better than February, so I'm going to make sure I have 150 ready to go.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I don't know. What else do you want to share with us? What sort of advice do you want to leave us with?
Um, I don't know. I mean, like, I I guess I want to talk about my team. Can I tell you about who's on
Yeah.
my
Tell me
team
about the
now?
team. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so when I was had my shop, I had like 9 employees. Like, and that was kind of at one time I was like, oh my God, like this is too many employees. And now it's just me and my husband. Um, that but we have like many people that also help us, but it's nice just to have like two main people like working in the business and making all the decisions. I also have a virtual assistant who works as a contractor, um, that I found through Upwork, which was like amazing. She's based in New York. She's awesome. I love her. um, we have our fulfillment center, which is really like a team of like 10 guys, like like shipping out our orders. My content creators. I also work with Amanda, my who helps with my buying coach, and I have a consultant, my friend Candace, who helps navigate paid ads,
Mhm.
because I am not able to understand them,
Are you
which is
doing
really
Google and
hard.
social media ads?
Yeah, Facebook or Meta and Google, and Shop, which is interesting. It's like
I don't know what that.
Shopify shop app
Oh,
one.
okay.
And is there anyone else? I have a graphic designer that helps occasionally with like packaging design. But yeah, so it's really like my husband and I mainly, and this like team of experts really that help us. Oh, and like of course my bookkeeper, and my accountant. Um, but that's been something that's been like really helpful for me, having a home-based small business instead of hiring employees that I have to find things for them to do, instead to hire like other small businesses to work as consultants or agencies that are like true experts in their fields, to help me grow. I feel like that is really 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 helps. Like when I was running my shop, I spent a lot of time like training people onto these jobs that I wanted them to do without me really being an expert in that job. So yeah, like it can be like really like scary to hire a professional to help you. But yeah, like with programs like Upwork, or even like on Instagram as you're following other, like my friend Amanda, like she has a podcast. I followed her and like I found out about her from another small business owner, like reaching out to people and seeing like where's the hole in my business and like what do you guys do um to help me like move forward. It's yeah. So that's been really great. I love all of the different small businesses that we support with my small business.
I love it so much,
Yeah.
and I think there's so much value in, like, finding someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think
It's
that's
just
great.
it's just like outsourcing the production. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's like, like I don't know. I mean, like I took so many business classes. I've listened to like so many podcasts and like read all these business books. Like, but like I'm not an expert in like making social media content or like I'm not an expert in meta ads. Are you kidding me? Like I don't want to do these books. Like what? Like so like finding someone that can help you it's just amazing. It's really amazing. And like now with technology just advancing all the time, there's so many like apps and things that you also can use that will like make your life a lot easier. And like I will always sign up for another app to help me with some process.
Well, and also I'm an app person too, but, like, also if you have experts too, like, it's their job to
Mhm.
understand these new apps, and technology is always changing too. Like,
Mhm.
it's so hard for us to keep up with all of the tech, and to have someone
Yeah.
who's, like, specialized in figuring all that stuff out for us and reporting back that we trust is everything.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also like little things like asking for, like so specifically with production, like we were having a huge problem. I mean, we've had a lot of problems with our hair accessories. Like for one, we'd get the hair accessories delivered to us and they wouldn't have a hang tag on them. And so the girls working in my shop would sit there all day and like tie little hang tags to each hair claw. And I was like, okay. I'm like, this, like, they like weren't happy about it because it sucked and it was like so tedious. And so I was like, I'm just gonna ask the factory if they offer that, because this is like a real pain point for me. And the factory's like, oh, absolutely. And the cost will be 2 cents a hang tag. And I was like, 2 cents? Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is incredible. You've just saved my team. You've saved my sanity. Like, they can do something else. So, like, like just and then like along the same lines of that story, like in our warehousing, they each product needs to be barcoded so that the guys who are picking our hair claws for our packages know exactly which one. Because I mean, these are just the fulfillment center we work with works with like rehabilitated men that are in like a substance abuse program. And a lot of these guys, like I don't know them very well, but I assume most of them aren't like super into women's hair accessories. So like they see like the mini hot dog and the regular size hot dog, they might just see hot dog and grab it and it's wrong, so they
Mhm.
have to have a barcode on them so they can like check. So we were having to like physically put these barcodes on each and every one. And I just asked the factory, would you mind barcoding these for me? And they're like, no problem. That's complimentary. What? Like we were spending hundreds of dollars paying these guys to barcode them for us. And we just like saved so much time and money. So like, don't be afraid to ask the people you're already working with if they can help you with these things as well.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Um, okay, is that what you wanna end on, or do you have any last little nuggets of wisdom you wanna bestow on us?
I guess the one thing that I want to say is, I kind of like glazed over it, but like putting the focus on, why I mean, I assume most of your listeners, because I know you and what you do, are small business owners and makers, and like kind of think about why you're in business and like what if something you are doing is not, you don't like doing it, either it's really super hard or you're doing it and you're not sure why you're doing it, or you're making this thing and people don't like it but they like this other thing, like really listen to yourself, and do the things that you love and make you the most happy, because you otherwise go work for somebody else, like you're working for yourself, and you should enjoy what you're doing. It's not every moment's going to be the most fun, you know but at the end of the day, like if you're making a product that you don't like, or you're working with someone you don't like, or you're not enjoying your production partners, you can find another one, and that's okay. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun exploring that for myself, and instead of like, you know, helping other artists make their work, like to actually make my work and to be an artist again has been really amazing, um, for my family and for me. So, yeah.
Where can we find your amazing hair accessories and more?
Well, jennielemons.com. We also have an Etsy shop, um, and where everything's on Etsy. You can find us on Fair if you're a retailer. Um, Instagram, TikTok, Jennie_lemons. I've been in business so long, so I have Jennie Lemons like username for everywhere except for TikTok. But yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Jenny. This has been so helpful to myself and to everyone listening.
Thanks, Phoebe. It was great to see you and talk to you.